Welcome to the Dead Bedroom Revival Podcast. My name is Corey, your host, and I'm excited to be making this episode. And today we're going to be talking about what caused your sexless relationship. And this has been inspired by the fact that I've had so many conversations with many guys. And with these conversations, these guys have said they've tried every single thing to try and change their situation. And one of the things that I've always I struggled with initially when we're having these conversations was, how is it possible that you've tried everything and it not work? And I wrestled with this for many times, and sometimes actually put it on them and said, you know what, you're saying you tried everything, but did you really try everything? But as I spoke in depth into what they've done, some of the things that they've done are things that I would probably recommend and things that I would do in order to change my relationship. But then I realized that it's because they just lacked the understanding of what caused the sexless relationship in the first place. Because if you went to a doctor and they told them the wrong symptoms, they will still treat you and they will go about treating you on the wrong thing. So if you had a flu, for instance, and then you said you had a broken finger, for example, if they start treating you for the broken finger, you're not going to heal the flu. I know it's a bad example, but it sort of makes the point. So in the end, I started realizing that it's not the lack of information that's out there, because some of it is good, some of it is terrible, but the information that isn't out there is in actually understanding what's caused the situation. Because when you look at it, there's different reasons why your partner is in the way she is, in the situation that she is, where she doesn't feel like connecting you in that way. And we've distilled it to 3 different parts. And I don't know if this list is going to grow with time, but I would imagine these are the 3 common ones that I've discovered over a period of time. And these 3 are usually there's this change in desire, and then the second one is physical or medical, and then the third one is relationship issues. And these are the 3 things that would really sort of change your relationship, especially from a sexual point of view. And when we start off with the first one, and now we're just going to briefly go over them, but just in the overview of this. So like the change of sexual desire, or this change of desire, usually this has to do with just within the relationship over a period of time. You have to evolve within the relationship, because your relationship, if you think about it, in the beginning you started dating, your partner, if you're younger, you lived with their parents. At some point you moved in together, or once you moved in together, there was a point when you decided to get married, and then children, and then your careers, and all these things were happening, and each time you were evolving as a person. And then within the relationship, if both of you fail to evolve as you evolve, it creates this situation where there's a decline within the relationship. So if you notice, from the time when you started dating to the point where you are now, there were certain points within the relationship where you just started seeing this decline of sex within the relationship. And sometimes it was your fault, sometimes it was her fault, but it was just this thing where there was unspoken things in terms of the evolution of the relationship. So she might have felt overwhelmed being a new mom. She had maybe some self-conscious thing that was going on with her being a mom, not feeling like she's a good mom. Maybe she felt judged by her in-laws about being a mom or a wife. Or maybe her own mom was judging her for being a mom. And, there's all these weird conflicts that women have that we will never understand. And those things really change people. And it's not the actual physical work of changing diapers that is taxing. It's the mental side of things, where they are mentally thinking they're having to try and convince themselves that they're good moms. And then the external judgment. This is just one part of it. And just really giving you an example of the mental taxing, how mentally draining it can be being a mom. And that's just one shift. So if you think about it, then being at a workplace, competing for positions, again, that included with being a parent. Like, there's so many other things that happen from a woman's perspective, and then being in a relationship as well. So when they come to the point where it's now time to relate within the relationship, desire has taken a back seat. So I guess, seeing from that perspective, and this episode really is just for you to actually start understanding, and part of you to have a bit of sympathy on where this might be coming from. And again, all of these 3 different reasons can be changed with certain ways of certain habits that you can actually cultivate in order for that to actually happen. So the second one is a very important one, and I think this one is the least spoken about. It's either the physical or medical. So just for the case of this episode, we'll call it biology. That usually women at the point, especially when they get to the age of 35 or even mid 30s to 40, they start experiencing a sort of a birth shutdown, to lack of a better term. So the body starts becoming closer to the point where they're now preparing for menopause. And what this does is there's also like a decrease of energy, and this energy is just the energy that comes from testosterone. So there's testosterone that is pumped within the woman's body, which helps have energy, which helps with sexual drive and spontaneous arousal. So all these things start fading, and over a period of time, she becomes really, really tired. Her hair starts thinning out. Again, with testosterone, you got that muscle mass, so that muscle mass drops. So there's a lot of things that start happening from an age perspective, which can be terrifying for any person. And for us men, because we pump testosterone for a very long period of time, we don't experience this up until sort of 55, 60. But this happens very early on for women. And by the time she's 40, she's now fully engaged in the starting process of menopause. So menopause really happens almost 10 to 8 years before it actually happens. And this is just from some of the research that has been released, that the body starts shutting down, and there's lack of energy, there's lack of sexual desire. And the desire, the one way it's spontaneous, where she feels a sudden arousal, starts fading away. Now it becomes the environment that she's in that has to be a stimulus. So you have to cultivate certain things in order to create desire within her as well. So when you look at it from this perspective, and you start seeing it from this perspective, a part of you, if you truly love your wife or partner, you start seeing it from a sympathetic perspective. And then this doesn't mean that you go and say, you know what, you're finished, you cannot do this, so out of here. There's actually ways of really making it work within your relationship. So don't jump the gun. And like I said, if you want to learn more how to actually transform your relationship and have an idea of turning things around, go to our Instagram, which is Dead Bedroom Revival, and then you send in a DM, and then we'll be able to walk you through the process. In fact, we'll walk you through the process of how to actually start changing things around. So we'll give you a map on how you can do this, and the certain behaviors that you need to be doing, and certain habits that you need to be doing, that will create an environment within your relationship that will be mutually beneficial and mutually seductive. So the last one, and not least, is relationship issues. I think there's an episode I spoke to you guys last week was about decision making and the quality of decisions, and then we also talked about the speed of decisions. If you find yourself that you've get a lot of anxiety around making decisions and speaking to people or being decisive, sometimes that can create friction within relationship. And not just you, but your partner as well, if they have habits of very bad decision making and not being able to communicate both of the decision, or both of you coming to a collective decision. This can be a very difficult place, because again, it harbors such creating a lot of resentment, a lot of anger around your relationship. And the longer you keep anger within a relationship. And I think there was something that I found quite interesting. I was listening to a podcast, I think, and this couple, they were talking about how anger in a relationship is kind of like having a pet fish, for instance. So you think about a goldfish, for instance, and it's literally, you can keep this thing, give it its sort of environment. You feed it, and you'll continue growing, and you'll continue surviving, and both of you can feed into this, and to continue surviving. And over a period of time, this thing is just going to continue growing, or it might have children. And over a period of time, you will never get rid of this thing, because it's, you're continuously feeding into it. And this is very what it's like in a relationship, that if you do not decide, you do not have honest conversations, you do not let go of anger, you do not figure out what's causing anger within your relationship, or resentment, or depression, or there's certain things that are happening within a relationship, judgment, lack of trust. There's so many things that can be relational issues that can be causing your sexless relationship. So really focusing on those things is very important, and understanding those. And when you think about this, if this is one of the things that's causing your issues, again, there's certain ways and certain things that you can do in order to change things around, and then start rebuilding from places of safety and trust and assurance, so that you feel safe enough to feel aroused, and then really have an amazing relationship. So really, we're going to knock it on the head here. And really, those 3 points, again, is really things that changes the desire, can be one of the reasons that causes her to feel less in the libido front. And the other one is the physical or medical, so we still call it biological. So the biological can cause her not to feel that way. And again, that was the major factor in that is the lack of testosterone, and sometimes the transition from who she is into the place, a woman who is going to be facing many menopause usually is one of the reasons why she actually starts getting into this place where she's not feeling any sexual desire, because of, again, that lack of energy, lack of desire. Again, that spontaneous arousal, because she moved from being just spontaneous, but now only responsive, or at least responding to arousal. So she responds to certain things or certain parts of the environment that she's in order to feel arousal. And then the last part is relationship issues. So really resolving, especially anger is a huge one, and resentment is a huge one, and really start focusing on those. And some of it comes from trauma. So it's not even what's happened in the relationship. It's just stuff that's been blown up within the relationship, and then it starts affecting the relationship. So really, there's ways of really just getting through that. And then as you're getting through that, it actually starts building your relationship in a way that's amazing. And I think out of all that, hopefully it's given you some ideas on what has caused your relationship. If there's something that I've missed out, please get me on Instagram, deadbedroomrevival.com, and just say maybe you missed this out, and I'll be more than happy to look into it. But at this moment in time, there's this 3 that I've distilled it to, and hopefully it's been impactful. It's been an eye opener for you, and something that you can now actually start looking. Again, you can come to our Instagram, Dead Bedroom Revival, and then schedule for a strategy session where we're going to map out how you can actually start changing things around for your relationship. We'll give you everything that you need to go and start changing your relationship. So thank you very much, and I'll be speaking to you soon. Take care.